Hey guys, welcome back to Altaz-Review, where we talk about new releases and some of our favorite games. We've gotten a bunch of new game releases and it sparked a lot of debates too. Stellar Blade is finally out on PS5 and it's looking great. I've seen mixed reactions to the overall story and other mechanics, but everyone's loving the combat. That said, it's hard not to compare Stellar Blade to games like Nier Automata. The wild combat, the robot characters, and many other similarities have some people talking about how great Nier Automata was and how Stellar Blade is just barely keeping up. So let's look at Nier Automata after all these years and talk about what made it so great and whether it still holds up today. A spin-off sequel of a convoluted collection of other spin-offs and sequels, Nier Automata is a pretty mysterious title. Due to its obscure origins and considering that not many people have played the old Drakengard and Nier games, Nier Automata puts most players in a unique situation and a lot of visual information. The starting sequence gives you all the gameplay mechanics and some basic character intros like 2B, 9S, and even your operator 6O that tells you your next mission and next point of interest. The prologue establishes your enemies, the machines, crude robots that act almost like zombies, and you also get an idea of the bullet hell nature of the game. There's a lot to take in the first few minutes, but that just means you get to focus 100% on the action gameplay and watch how it keeps changing from third-person Devil May Cry action to a bullet hell barrage which still requires jumping and climbing from a top-down view. That means you're focusing on 2D and 3D aspects even though you're seeing everything from a top angle. And then there's the jet combat in the beginning where you dodge obstacles and either go full barrage with missiles and guns or go for a laser sword attack. With moments like these, Nier Automata brings arcade action to a high-quality experience. And like any game by Platinum Games, it's always focused on being as cool as possible with great combat. Seeing how so many games like to put a spin on Nier combat or mechanics, it's strange that Nier Automata still stands out as a superior game. Even compared to its prequel, Nier Replicant, better referred as the original Nier remake, Nier Automata still introduces such a wide variety of mechanics and combat variations. The combat angle can change from third-person action to top-down fighting, and even to 2D scroller, all with different kinds of threats. Some situations have a ton of obstacles, while most encounters use bullet hell mechanics where several slow bullets spread out in patterns, and you can either run, dodge, or even destroy certain types of these so-called bullets. Aside from general threats, enemies have some good variety too. It starts off simple with a few basic robots to beat, but the enemy designs slowly get bigger, more armored, and we even end up fighting completely different machines like a spider robot, flying worm, and some giant whale robot, which was arguably one of the hardest fights in the game. Nier Automata also pushes the mechanics of the original Nier by giving you a tactical support bot that mimics the magic books from the previous game. But the variety of abilities and the fact that you can shoot regular bullets infinitely makes fights thoughtful and chaotic, much like every other title by Platinum Games. You have the basic physical attacks like super lasers and various spectral weapons, but then you also have tactical abilities that mess with enemies or give you a way to do extra damage with every attack. With more pods, you can combo these abilities in true RPG fashion to do crazy damage with ease. One of my favorite combos was the gravity ability with a weapon ability to deal massive damage to all enemies without having to chase them individually. But there's a lot more ways to string attacks together, and this is before thinking about your weapon type and combos. You have two different weapons, generally a heavy weapon and a light weapon, and there's a bunch of different combos with acrobatic movements with different uses. Some combos will attack all around you while others might focus on a single target. With so many tools and so many different opponents and obstacles, Nier Automata makes you put everything together quickly, but the precision and timing doesn't matter too much. So you get to think about your build and playstyle while enjoying the beautiful animations and cool attacks without having to overthink either. The upgrade system is pretty steady too. You don't have to go too far out of your way to get the right materials or items, since the interesting side quests and main quests have you going to old and new areas and fight all kinds of enemies. So you end up with the right materials at the right time, and your gear always matches your level. Even character upgrades are super detailed. You can get OS chips that increase your own abilities, and that means fighting faster, running faster, doing more damage, more defense, and a lot of situationally specific upgrades too. Some of these OS upgrades are actually just normal game elements, like being able to see your health bar, the map, and one of the OS chips is your CPU. So if you remove it, it's an automatic game over. It's a fun detail, and the game continues these little details that makes the game feel more immersive and interesting. But then we get to the story. Nier Automata starts off with a simple goal: defeat the machines for the sake of humanity. Humans are essentially holed up on the moon and have tasked androids like 2B and 9S to defeat all the machines and make Earth safe for humans again. But as the story moves forward, you learn more about the origin of the machines and of the androids, and the current situation eventually makes a little more sense. But it also gets a lot more complicated. I'd rather not give spoilers, but the big reveals in this game affect the characters more than the player. It's important to focus on each character's opinions on their own situation and about how to exist in this world. Main characters, side characters, and even just NPCs and side quests have different and weird outlooks on the meaning of life and how they respond to their difficulties. The narrative focuses on both the present, with the war of the androids against the machines, along with the past and of what happened to the humans that got them to leave Earth, where the machines came from, and what is the true nature of how the war started. To get the whole point across, and also just because the creator, Yoko Taro, is weird, the game takes 3 playthroughs to finish. Well, technically. The first run is just half the game, and then you play as 9S for the same half just to understand his side of the story a little better. Then you continue where you left off with 2B until, big spoiler alert, you play with another character for a while, and then the game finally concludes the journey of our multiple protagonists. And somehow, playing the first half twice doesn't really get boring, since the deep plot and the little combat changes make it worthwhile to see how 9S felt throughout the first part of the game. Nier Automata has a very balanced combat system which makes you think a lot and not think too much either. And the story's existential implications and a lot of reveals that keep you interested for the next quest, even when it comes to side quests. But whether you're here for the story or for the combat, Nier Automata has you covered. The plot keeps you hooked by balancing missions between big reveals, beautiful boss battles, and some simpler tasks that let you take it easy for a while, but still be interested. At the same time, the combat lives up to the expectations of Platinum Games and is still one of the best experiences in modern games. With such fast and involved fighting mechanics and a story that stays with you forever, while justifying 3 playthroughs, games that use similar traits will end up following into a comparison, and they will inevitably lose to Nier Automata, since no game can replicate the uniquity of Nier Automata without straight up plagiarizing it. Even the recent Stellar Blade, while being a great game on its own, uses a few ideas that resemble Nier Automata, and as a result, it might end up feeling like a failed attempt at copying Nier to some people. This may not be the case, but it does make it harder to convince players who played Nier Automata to play Stellar Blade when they only have trailers and demos of Stellar Blade to go off of. It might not be a fair comparison by any means, but it's a comparison that's being made. But more important than comparing which game is better, I wanted to use this conversation to take another look at Nier Automata and appreciate what a great game it is and what a great experience it is. Well, that's what I think about Nier Automata and about the comparison between Nier Automata and Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade is a great game, but I think the similarities and the differences don't really justify playing it over just replaying Nier Automata itself. That's just my opinion. Honestly, even Nier Replicant didn't match up to the standards of Nier Automata. But really, Nier Automata is a masterpiece that you can't truly fathom until you've played it. But let me know what you guys think about Nier Automata and what other games you're interested in hearing about. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Until then, I hope I see you in the next video.